A woman named Mia Turner sat by the window, gazing out at the rolling clouds, blissfully unaware of the whirlwind of events about to unfold. Her journey was supposed to be uneventful, just another business trip to a neighboring city. But fate had other plans. Mia wasn't a public figure or a flashy traveler. She was the reserved yet sharp wife of Ethan Turner, a prominent figure in the aviation industry and owner of the very airline she was flying with. By choice, Mia stayed out of the spotlight, valuing her privacy above all. She traveled like anyone else, blending into the crowd, avoiding the special privileges her status might grant. This flight, however, was about to challenge that anonymity. As the flight crew moved through the cabin, one attendant, Clara, caught sight of Mia. Clara was known for her brisk, no-nonsense demeanor, often mistaken for rudeness. Spotting Mia's understated attire, simple jeans, a loose sweater, and a book in hand, Clara immediately assumed she was just an average passenger. She decided Mia wouldn't be a priority in her customer service approach. Clara approached Mia's row, wearing a strained smile that barely masked her impatience. "Ma'am," she said curtly, gesturing to the seatbelt sign, "please buckle up." The sign's been on for a while now. Startled, Mia glanced up from her thoughts and quickly secured her seatbelt. "Of course," she replied softly, avoiding any confrontation. But Clara's tone carried a sharp edge. "You know," Clara added with a hint of disdain, "we don't make these announcements for fun. You should have been paying attention." The nearby passengers stirred, their attention momentarily drawn to the exchange. Some raised eyebrows at Clara's unnecessary tone, while others quickly diverted their gaze, unwilling to get involved. Mia swallowed her frustration, choosing to stay composed. She wasn't a stranger to people making snap judgments, and she saw no need to escalate the situation. After Clara walked away, Mia took a calming breath, trying to shake off the awkward tension. She wasn't one to hold grudges or cause a scene, but something about the encounter gnawed at her. Clara's condescending attitude wasn't just unprofessional, it was humiliating. For now, Mia decided to stay quiet, but she instinctively reached for her phone, sending a quick text to Ethan. "Hey, just checking in? Flight's fine, but there was a strange interaction with one of the attendants. Nothing big, just thought you want to know." Unbeknownst to Mia, Ethan's reaction to her message would set a chain of events in motion. As a meticulous businessman who valued both his company's reputation and his wife's dignity, Ethan didn't take such reports lightly. He immediately contacted his executive team, initiating a discreet review of the flight crew's behavior. Meanwhile, Clara carried on with her duties, entirely oblivious to the importance of the passenger she had just dismissed. Her sharp demeanor persisted as she served drinks and snacks with minimal warmth. For Clara, Mia was already a distant memory, a nondescript passenger who didn't warrant a second thought. But Mia wasn't one to let disrespect slide, especially when it symbolized a larger issue. This wasn't about her alone. It was about how people often misjudge and mistreat others based on assumptions. While she didn't intend to make a scene, she resolved to address the issue once the flight landed. As the plane began its descent, Mia glanced at her phone and saw a new message from Ethan. "Thanks for letting me know. This will be handled. Trust me, you won't have to deal with her attitude again." Mia smiled faintly, grateful for her husband's support. Little did Clara realize her offhand treatment of a seemingly ordinary passenger would have far-reaching consequences, not just for her job, but for her understanding of the importance of treating everyone with dignity, regardless of appearances. When the flight landed, Mia quietly disembarked, exchanging polite smiles with the other crew members, but avoiding Clara entirely. She knew her husband would take care of things. For Mia, the matter wasn't about seeking revenge. It was about ensuring respect was restored for anyone who might find themselves in her position. Clara's day, however, was about to take a dramatic turn. By the time she returned to the airline's office, a meeting had already been scheduled to discuss her conduct on the flight. Her actions had sparked more than she could have anticipated, serving as a sobering reminder of how quickly judgment can backfire in the most unexpected ways. Ethan Turner was a man who took action swiftly and decisively, and Mia knew that well. As she read his reply, a wave of mixed emotions swept over her. Had she done the right thing by reaching out? Was involving Ethan the best choice? Or was she making more of this than necessary? But deep down, Mia understood why she had spoken up. This wasn't just about her personal experience. It was about challenging the unfair treatment so many others endured. No one deserved to be judged by their appearance or presumed worth. This wasn't just about Mia. It was about standing up for fairness. The plane touched down smoothly, and the usual flurry of activity began as passengers reached for their belongings. Clara, standing near the exit with her practiced professional smile, was ready to bid everyone a polite farewell. She had no inkling that her routine was about to be shattered. Mia stood from her seat, exuding an air of calm confidence that hadn't been visible before. Her gaze was steady, her posture strong. As she walked toward the front of the cabin, Clara noticed her approach. At first, she smiled faintly, preparing for a brief exchange. But as Mia stopped in front of her, the moment shifted. Mia's voice was clear and composed, but it carried a firmness that cut through the ambient noise. "I won't take much of your time," she began, "but I need to say this. The way I was treated today was unacceptable, not just for me, but for anyone who's ever been judged unfairly or treated as less than they deserve." Clara blinked, momentarily thrown off. "I'm sorry if," she started, but Mia didn't let her finish. "This isn't about an apology," Mia interrupted, her tone steady but pointed. "It's about understanding. You assumed I was unimportant, someone who didn't deserve respect, and you made it clear with your attitude. Let me tell you something. I'm not here to flaunt my connection, but I'm the wife of Ethan Turner, the owner of this airline. And I expect better, not just for me, but for everyone." The color drained from Clara's face as the realization hit. The quiet passenger she'd dismissed so easily was not only influential, but someone who could directly impact her career. She fumbled for words, but none came. Mia didn't linger to hear a response. With a small, resolute nod, she turned and walked away, her steps deliberate as she exited the plane. Clara stood frozen, her mind racing. She had made a critical mistake, and the gravity of it began to settle in. As the remaining passengers filed out, Clara's professional mask cracked. This wasn't just a minor oversight. This was something that could change her entire career trajectory. Outside, as Mia stepped into the terminal, a quiet sense of accomplishment settled over her. She wasn't one to seek revenge or gloat over power, but she felt she had made an important stand. Her actions weren't about retribution. They were about setting a standard, about ensuring that everyone, regardless of status, was treated with dignity and respect. Later that evening, as Mia unwound at home, her phone buzzed again. This time it was a call from Ethan. She answered, and his warm, familiar voice greeted her. "Mia," he said, a hint of admiration in his tone. "I've looked into everything, and I've made it clear to the team what's expected moving forward. Clara will be dealing with the consequences of her actions, and I've ensured the entire staff gets a refresher on respect and professionalism." Mia exhaled, the tension from earlier dissipating. "Thank you," she said softly. "It wasn't just about me, though. It's about something bigger." Ethan chuckled. "I know. That's why I'm also making some changes to our training programs. It's time everyone understands that respect isn't just a policy, it's a principle. And as for Clara, let's just say she'll have plenty of time to reflect on today." Mia couldn't help but smile. She appreciated Ethan's support and swift action, but she was also proud of herself for addressing the issue head-on. This wasn't just a victory for her. It was a step toward creating a culture of kindness and accountability. As the night wore on, Mia lay in bed, reflecting on the day's events. She knew this incident would ripple beyond just her experience, serving as a reminder of the importance of empathy and respect. With that thought, she closed her eyes, content that she had turned a moment of humiliation into an opportunity for change. Mia Turner's journey had begun as just another flight, but it ended with a message that echoed far beyond the cabin. As she lay in bed that night, her thoughts drifted to the countless times she had witnessed or experienced subtle moments of disrespect, moments that too often went unnoticed or unchallenged. This time, she had chosen to act, not because she sought to make a spectacle, but because the issue at hand transcended her personal discomfort. It was about ensuring everyone, no matter who they were, was treated with basic human decency. The next day, Mia received a follow-up call from Ethan. His voice carried both pride and determination. "Mia, I wanted to let you know that the changes we discussed are already in motion. The entire flight staff is being retrained on professionalism and respect, with an emphasis on combating bias. It's not just about policies. It's about building a culture where no one feels invisible or dismissed." Mia listened intently, grateful for his efforts. "It's more than I could have hoped for," she replied. "This isn't just about one bad interaction, Ethan. It's about creating an environment where kindness is the norm, not the exception." Ethan paused before responding, his tone thoughtful. "You've always had a way of seeing the bigger picture, Mia. What you did yesterday, it wasn't just about you or the airline. It was about something much greater. And that's exactly why I married you." Mia laughed softly, her heart warming at his words. She knew Ethan meant every syllable, and it reminded her why they made such a strong team. While he was a man of action, she was the steady compass that ensured those actions had lasting impact. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, Clara sat in a mandatory workshop alongside her fellow flight attendants. The atmosphere in the room was tense, each staff member acutely aware that change was coming. For Clara, the realization of her actions on that flight weighed heavily on her. She hadn't just mistreated an influential passenger. She had failed to uphold the core value of her job, making every traveler feel respected and valued. It was a humbling experience, one she wouldn't soon forget. Back at home, Mia reflected on how a single moment of courage had sparked a ripple effect. She knew her decision to speak up had inspired change, not just in the airline's culture, but in the hearts of those who had witnessed or heard of the incident. It was a reminder of the power of standing up, not with anger or spite, but with poise and purpose. As she sipped her morning coffee, she smiled. The world was far from perfect, but she had made her mark, however small. Respect, she realized, wasn't just about grand gestures or big policies. It was about the little things, the everyday actions that shaped how people treated one another. And if she could spark change in this one corner of the world, perhaps others could too. After all, it only takes one voice to start a conversation, and one conversation to change a culture.